Today we're going to be ranking every single Dalek design from Doctor Who. I'm just ranking the TV show Daleks, I'm not doing the comics and the audio drama because there's just so many, we'd be here for hours. Over the years, there has been many different Dalek designs, some that are classic and some that are a little bit controversial. Let's just say that. So I'm looking forward to talking about them. I do love the Daleks, so let's not waste any time and just get straight into it. So first up, we have the original Dalek design from the Daleks, and I put it straight into the best category. I think the original design by Ray Cusick is just iconic. It is the default Dalek. You know, every other design that follows after this is based on this one. I do love the Daleks being silver and blue. I think they're a really nice color combination, and I think it's perfect for the 1960s. One of the great things about this original design is, you know, the iris and how it moves like a camera lens. And I really love that little bit of extra detail, which is something we kind of lose in later classic series Dalek designs that I don't really love. Like once they introduce the pupil, I just think it doesn't look very good. But I'll talk about that more later on. I also think the original voice is just really, really good. I think they just nailed this from the very beginning. Although the Daleks do, you know, evolve in the way that they speak throughout the eras, and I think they get better, there's something about the original that is just perfection. Next up, we have a standard Dalek from the Dalek Invasion of Earth, and I've put this straight into the okay category. I've never been a massive fan of the original 60s Daleks given this bumper. I understand why they did it. They did it so they could make the Daleks move more smoother on location and stuff like that. But I think having that extra height just makes them look a little bit goofy. But you know, the Dalek bumper does return in the new series and I think it works in that design. But the 60s Daleks, it always feels like an afterthought because that's what it is. You know, it's just an added thing they've just put on top of the original existing Dalek models. I could be wrong about that, but that's what it feels like at least. And yeah, I'm just not a huge fan of this design. Next up, we have the Black Dalek from the Dalek Invasion of Earth, and I put this into the good category. I think this is a great evolution of the original design, just painting the one that's in command in complete black. I just think it adds this extra level of like menace and power, and they just look really good in different colors. I think this one having the bumper actually works for me. I think having, you know, the one in charge is a little bit higher up than the rest of them. And as the series goes on, we see more detailed designs for this type of command Dalek. You know, so this one's really setting the tone. So I've put it in the good category, even though I don't adore it. But I do think it's better than the standard Dalek Invasion of Earth drone Dalek. Next up, we have this mixed matched Dalek from the Dalek Invasion of Earth, and I've put it in the not for me category. This one's a really unique design. I'm not entirely sure what this Dalek was for. I don't really recall it, to be honest. But you know, the idea of just like doing a mixed matched kind of look, I don't really love it. I think it looks a bit messy. Next up, we have a Dalek from The Chase, and I put it straight into the best category. For me, this is the definitive Dalek design. It's just a slight polish on the original where they've just added some slats to its neck area, and it just looks really nice. I'm not entirely sure why it adds so much more to the design, but I just think it does. It's just that little bit of extra detail. They just feel a bit more robust. And you know, we've returned to the normal base of the Dalek where the bumper's all gone. And I just think it's like the classic Dalek that I adore. It has all of the features that I like. It has the cool eyes, it has the slats, it's 60s and cool and silver and blue. And it's a typical classic Dalek. And I think out of all of them, this is my absolute favorite for sure. The only other reason why the original Dalek is up there in the best of the best is because it's the original, you know, and I think that deserves an important place in the best category. But this one is my absolute 100% favorite. Next up, we have the Black Dalek from Mission to the Unknown / the Daleks Master Plan. I put this straight into the great category. Just like the Dalek Invasion one, painting a classic Dalek black just looks sick. It looks really good. There's no notes. I think this might be one of those designs that looks better in black and white because in color, the Dalek spheres are blue. And I think a black and blue Dalek maybe doesn't look that great. But, in black and white, it looks like black and dark gray, and it looks really nice. So I think, yeah, maybe if this was shot in color, I wouldn't love this design as much as I do. But the thing is, these were designed and the colors were chosen because it's a black and white production. They're not choosing crazy colors because they know it's not going to be seen. They're choosing colors that they think would look good in black and white. Although it would have been blue in real life, was the intention for it to be blue, or was it the intention for it to be like a dark gray? I don't know. I'm not the designer. I'm just a YouTuber. I don't know anything. Next up, we have one of the Dalek Emperor's guards from Evil the Daleks, and I put it into the good category. I like the idea of just painting the dome black, and that just signifies that it's a higher ranking Dalek, but it's not the top of the top. I think that's a good way of doing it. You can easily see that this Dalek has more power and it's different. But, it's not as exciting and stunning as a full black Dalek, but it's really nice. I think it's a good design. Next up, we have a gold Dalek from Day of the Daleks, and I put it in the okay category. I have never really been a huge fan of the gold Dalek from this story. I just don't think it looks really nice. I understand the mentality behind it, but they're like, okay, Doctor Who's in color now, the Dalek should also have a bit of color. The silver and blue, maybe it doesn't look that great. And, I can understand that, and I can understand them wanting to paint it and change it, but I just don't know if gold was really the right choice. It is the most 70s color to choose, of course. It looks so 70s, like that muted cream color, it's just not for me, babes. I put it in the okay category though, because I think it is still a nice design. The shape of it, because it's the same classic Dalek design, it's iconic and it's beautiful. I just don't love the color. Although the Evil of the Daleks was the debut of the painted pupil, I really think of this one as like the proper first introduction that the Daleks all have pupils. And I just think it looks cheap. Compared to the original lens that could move and it had emotion and it was scary, I think the pupil feels comical. I know a lot of people will love the pupil and they want it back and they adore it. I just think it makes it feel less real. It feels like a prop more than a living being. And I'm really happy that in the new series, they brought the idea of the lens back, with the blue light. So this also goes down in my rankings just because I hate that damn pupil. I really do. But it really does become a staple of Dalek design throughout the rest of the classic series, which is so surprising to me. I think as soon as you paint it out, the design is just instantly better to me. That's just me. Other people feel differently. But it's my tier list, so I get to make up the rules, babes. Next up, we have the gunmetal grey design from Day of the Daleks, and I put it into the best category. This design keeps popping up. We see it in Genesis of the Daleks as well. I don't know if there's probably been some slight alterations between those two stories, but I think this gunmetal grey is just a beautiful design. I think it's up there with the original. That's why I've put it there, obviously. I think it's one of the more iconic designs. I think that's due to Genesis of the Daleks as well. That lasting impact that story has. I think this is the perfect way of adding a bit of different color to the original design. It's making it a bit darker and making, instead of the blue spheres, it's black. And I just think that looks really, really nice. They feel like they have a lot of power. And I would love if the new series Gold Daleks were painted this color. I'd love to see what that looked like. Having more iron metallic feel to it. I wonder if that would look nice. I don't know. I've never seen it done. Surely there must be like a 3D render or a fan-made prop that looks like that, because I think it would look really sick, but maybe I'm wrong. Either way, great design. Love this one. Definitely best of the best. Next up, we have the Gold Supreme Dalek from Planet of the Daleks, and I put it in the good category. This design is a bit all over the place for me. I think in some ways, I think it's really good. I love the idea behind it. I love the design of it. Just the execution of it, I'm not a huge fan of. I think the eye stalk looks a little bit cheap. It looks like a torch that's been stuck on, and that's kind of what happened. That's what it looks like to me. And I think it just feels a bit shoulderly built. I just think it doesn't have... I know that Terry Nation owned this Dalek, and I think it must have been a movie Dalek at one point that they've just altered over time. And it's kind of become a bit of a hodgepodge of Dalek pieces, and I think it does feel like that. But I do love the height of it. I think it stands out. I like the gold and the black. I just think it's a really nice idea in theory. Just the execution, not that great. Because I would have ranked this probably in the great category if it was just given a bit more of a polish. Next up, we have the Dalek from Death to the Daleks, and I put it in the good category. I really admired this design because, you can tell they were trying to harken back to the original Dalek colors, the silver, and they've chosen like a black to make it a bit more in color friendly. I think the bit that kind of throws me a bit is adding black into the neck area. I just don't know if I really love that part, but it's still a good design. It's just not one that really stands out to me where I'm like, wow, this is amazing, which is weird because it should, because it really is just like the original Dalek given a bit of a paint job. But for some reason, it never excites me. I think that color scheme just works better in black and white. And I think the gunmetal grey just works better in colour. Why that is, I don't know. But that's how I feel, babes. Next up is the standard drone Daleks from Resurrection of the Daleks and Revelation of the Daleks. And I put it in the okay category. I think giving the Daleks a slight blue colour hue is a bit of an interesting choice. It's still like grey, but there is definitely a noticeable blue shift. And I think having the orange lights isn't really as nice to me. I prefer a clear white. I think having like an orange just adds too many colors into this design. And I just don't think it really excites me that much. I don't think it's a bad design in any way, shape or form. It's just not one that excites me. I also think having a little orange tip at the end of the gun is just really strange as well. I just don't know why we're adding another color into this Dalek. I just don't get it. And next up, we have the Supreme Dalek from Resurrection of the Daleks, and I put it in the okay category. I think having the white spheres is just way too much. It's way too bright, way too distracting, and I just don't think it looks that good at all. Obviously, it's still the original classic Dalek design, so it still looks okay, but I just don't love it. I just don't really love this design at all. And with that ugly, ugly pupil, this is pretty rough. For a classic series Dalek, it's a bit rough. And I think the props by this point have really seen a better time and they just look a bit raggedy and I just don't think they look that good. Next up, we have the Glass Dalek from Revelation of the Daleks, and I put this in the great category. I love this design so much. It is so disgusting. Having this clear glass Dalek, it's beautiful. But then you're seeing all the insides and the disgusting melting person. And it's just like that beautiful blend of something beautiful and stunning and something horrific. And I think it's one of those really iconic moments from classic Doctor Who that you kind of can't forget. And I just love this design. And the way that it kind of shines and it lights up, it just looks so good. The designers were going hard on this design and it really, really pays off. And I think I read somewhere that Terry Nation originally wanted to have a glass Dalek in the 60s, but budgetary reasons that never happened. And I just think that would have been sick. So it's nice to see that finally happen in the show. And I would love to see it kind of make a return. I like the idea of having these one-off Daleks that are a bit strange and a bit weird because it really adds a bit of variety. Next up, we have the Imperial Daleks from the Revelation of the Daleks, and I put it in the good category. I like the idea of doing white and gold Daleks for the Imperial class. I think it somehow works. I don't think it should work, but it just does. Even having the gold mesh, that should not work at all, but it just does. There's something about this design that really speaks to me. Even though it does have the ugly pupil, but we can't have it all. We can't have it all. And it's fine. It's in the good category. It's not great. It's not the best. It's just good. Next up, we have the Imperial Daleks from Remembrance of the Daleks, and I put it into the great category. For the first time in a long time, they built brand new props and it just looks so much better. They feel so much more solid. And I think this is a better version of just painting the original Daleks. And this just looks so slick. I like the gold eye stalk and it just feels robust. That's the word that comes to mind. It feels robust. Next up, we have the Renegade Daleks from Remembrance of the Daleks, and I put it into the great category also. Although it kind of retains the bluish grey colour, I think it actually looks okay. And I think it's just because this is a more solidly built prop. The one kind of issue I have is the placement of the spheres. They kind of feel like they're not spaced very evenly. There's just a big gap up the top of the bottom. And I just think it would have been nicer if they were more spread out more evenly. And get rid of the pupil. I want a proper eye, please. But ultimately, I think it's a good design. I think it does struggle on location to really move smoothly and convincingly. But that's a problem they have with the Daleks throughout the entirety of the classic series. And I think for this juggernaut of a story, you know, really investing the money into making proper Daleks really paid off. Next up, we have the Black Dalek from Remembrance of the Daleks, and I put it into the good category. I think this is a good design. I don't think it's as good as the other ones. It just feels a little bit too polished. I guess that's kind of what they were going for, because, you know, it's like the Supreme, it's in charge. But it just kind of feels like, I don't know, it feels like something that should be like a museum version of a Dalek. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's like, this is one to show off the beautiful design of a Dalek. It doesn't feel like it exists in the world of Doctor Who. Do you know what I mean? Like, it feels like it's never had a gun fired at it. You know, I don't know. There's something odd about this one. I don't know why it doesn't speak to me. But yeah, I'm not a massive fan of this one. But I still think it's a good design. I still think it looks good. It's just not my favorite. Next up, we have the Special Weapons Dalek from Remembrance of the Daleks, and I put it into the great category. I think this is fair to say the first time they've really altered the Dalek design. You know, the only thing we've really kept is the skirt, and everything else has been replaced. Just adding like a massive turret gun is really sick. And having just like a really neutral looking dome, it just looks really cool. And I think when they return to the new series in that Dalek two-parter, I think they look really great in HD too. So I think it's just a really great design. I like how murky and dirty it is, and it's all roughed up. It feels like it has real power. And I love the idea of the Daleks just needing like another variant to do some real firepower. And I really like that. It makes the Daleks feel like a proper war force. You know, they've got other things that more than just a single Dalek. Next up, we had the new series Dalek, straight from 2005's Dalek, and I put it into the best category. This design was so important to get right, and I think they nailed it from the very beginning. It took the original shape of the original Dalek design and just beefed it out. It made it with like proper materials, and it just felt really strong and powerful. Adding all of those rivets is so 2005 when it comes to science fiction. It's just like cyberpunk stuff. It's just what I think of at that time period. So it's so of its time. But I also think because they've used it consistently throughout the entirety of the new series, you know, we've had other Dalek variants, but this one seems to come back. I think because we all know it and we see it, that's a Dalek, that's what a Dalek looks like. It feels timeless, even though it's so 2005. But it's also so 1960s. It is a 2005 take on a 1960s design. That's exactly what it is. And I think that was the right decision to make to bring back the Daleks. You know, if they brought them back and they did crazy things and they looked completely different, that wouldn't be a Dalek. It's the same reason why, you know, a lot of fans were like, why does Omega look like a skeleton? You know, it's like once you've taken away the original design, it's just a name. It loses what makes it so special. The design is an important part of the reason why we like the Daleks. So it's important that the Dalek still follows those initial design prompts in order for it to retain what it is. Next up, we have a new series, Black Dalek, and I put it into the great category. Simple, classic, just paint it black. Beautiful. No notes. I think it looks great. I think everything was cool if it's all painted black. I just think it does. And I think this is one of those ones that proves that for sure. Next up, we have the Supreme Dalek from Journey's End, and I put it in the okay category. I've never been a massive fan of this design. I understand what it's going for. I think it has power. I think it looks good on screen, but I just think the random bits that jut out just don't look really good to me. I just think it looks overcomplicated and over-designed. I also think the red and the gold they chose, like the particular colors, are just not my favorite colors. I love red and gold, but like this particular red and this particular gold, I don't know if they really go together that well. I wonder what it would have looked like if it was red and black. I wonder if I would have enjoyed that more. I still think it's an okay design though. It's not bad. It's just not one of my favorites. Next up are the Paradigm Daleks from Victory of the Daleks, and I put them in the okay category. I'm a Paradigm Dalek defender, but I don't think they're a great Dalek design. When we're looking at other Daleks and we're ranking them, it's hard to put them higher than just okay. I think this is when, we're talking about changing the Dalek design too much. It can sometimes ruin what makes a Dalek so special. Although I enjoy the height of the Daleks, I think they do have a sense of menace being that tall. Maybe there's something so iconic about the original that it loses something. One thing I do love about this design, one of my favorite things about it, is the voice. I guess that's not the design, but I think having that more powerful voice really sells the Paradigm Daleks, and that's why I was excited to see what they do with them, and it's sad they kind of got left behind. I like there's a Big Finish series where the Paradigm Daleks are given a bit more to do, and they're really cool, and I do like them. And I do love those voices, so it was great to hear them again in Big Finish. But, we're talking about the TV series. Sorry, I broke my own rules. But, I think the mistake is really the colors. I like the idea of having more colors in theory, but the actual colors they chose, I just think were a bit wrong. And I think they picked up on that. As later on we get the more metallic version of the colors, and I think they look so much better, but we'll talk about them in just a second. Next up, we have the Paradigm Daleks that have been given a paint job, and I put them into the okay category. I think adding a more metallic finish really does make these Daleks look better because they just were too bright. I understand the Teletubby analogy that was given to them, and I think just adding a bit more darkness, a bit more of a metallic shine does make them look better. But yeah, it's really the hunchback, isn't it? They just don't have the right silhouette. They just feel a bit off. I think they look good front on, but every other angle does not look good. It does not look good. Just like me, there's a reason why you only see me front on. Every other angle is terrifying. I'm just like a Paradigm Dalek like that. And I'm also evil. I think just a couple more drafts, a couple more experimentation about the size and the shape of it, I think the Paradigm Daleks could have stuck around for longer, but they just didn't capture the imagination of the audience, and I just don't think they were the right choice. Next up, we have the Junkyard Dalek from Resolution, and I put it in the okay category. I don't think this is a bad design in any way, shape or form because I think it matches the brief, and that's the issue with the design in general. The brief was, how do we build a Dalek out of junkyard materials? And they succeeded. It looks really good. They did a great job, but it's still a wonky design. It just is. It just doesn't look great because it can't. It's a junkyard Dalek. That's what it is. So a lot of people are like, oh, is that what the Daleks are going to look like from now? But it's like, well, no, because that's not the plot. The Dalek looks like this because the plot needed it to. So I think this is a totally okay design for the Dalek in this particular story. And it was nice to have a different Daleks. We'd seen the same Daleks for quite a long time by this point as well. Next up, we have the Revolution of the Daleks Dalek, and I put it in the okay category. Once again, like the previous design, this design has to be this way in order for the story to make sense. It is a rebuilt Dalek based on the design from the previous special. So it has to kind of look like this. And I think this is the best they could have possibly done. It's like, what if a tech company got a hold of this junk Dalek and tried to make one? This is what it would look like. It looks exactly like this. And I think they did a really good job at it. It's just still based on a really wonky, disproportionate Dalek design. But I think they did a good job. It's just not a favorite. And I think it's unfair to really compare this to a classic Dalek. It feels wrong because the story needed it to look a certain way. But yeah. And yeah, so that's the entirety of the Dalek designs ranked. I really, really love the design of the Dalek. I think what we've really seen here is that there's so many different versions and all of them have their own merits. I put a lot in the okay category, but I still like these. I still like seeing these. There's only one in the not for me category. I still love a Dalek story. Every time the Daleks turn up, I'm always having a good time, even if the story isn't my favorite. And even if the design isn't my favorite. I think the Daleks just have a sense of power and menace, but they're also fun to laugh at too at points. They are the perfect Doctor Who villain. It's a little bit silly, a little bit scary, and always great when you see them. Do you agree with my ranking? Let me know in the comment section below. I have a feeling a lot of Paradigm defenders are going to be mad at the placement, but it is hard to put them against some of the best designs. It just is. So please forgive me, because I do love the Paradigm Daleks. I really do. But overall, looking at the best of the best, I'm very happy with that list. So thank you for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye. Okay. Don't forget to click below to subscribe to the official Josh Snares YouTube channel.